3, 4.
There's a big round.
Yes.
It's too early, dude.
Yes. Well, they.
For 2 nights. Everything was going back good. Coming right close to the. Maybe 10 minutes. Goes over. This float. He wasn't ready for that. Here comes a big tractor.
What's why I walk over the trolley, but I usually walk. And works is the vehicles run over when the big stuff, and then I try to peel it off the street, and you can't.
That's still. Mary. That only lasted a couple of years. Hey.
It went up to one of the. I go, okay, so I want that.
Yeah, I think I was gonna go look at it, so I thought he was gonna talk to me too.
Science presentation on the story project. Funding and project availability. For the. Still there.
I rolled by on it. Did we start early?
I was ready.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Hey, first ball is tomorrow. Yeah. It's big with no. First Baptist will found. Too many little kids.
Yes.
Very undersized.
Giants down there.
You go get kids like Thomas. Where 4'10",
That makes it.
70 pounds.
Coming this way? He's gonna turn back.
I believe. Yeah, but that kid. That mom and dad was just like me, everything been like 4'10", 78 pounds. Where they're batting their cleats way more than that.
It's been bigger.
Yeah, our clock has now been synced, so we have a few more minutes.
It's for a fast, like brand, it's faster. Yeah.
Now it's actually slow, but that's what.
They won't get the phone.
And you'll come out.
Yeah.
And they introduced the 2005.
Yeah.
Series, so.
I haven't been. Oh, you don't need to be this.
It's showtime. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Lebanon City Council committees. I'll start over. Call to order the Lebanon City Council committees meeting for August the 4th, 2025. Roll call, Belkey.
Here.
Farrell here. Cornish. Smith. Marcinkowski,
Here.
Stevenson,
Here.
Bennett,
Here.
Washington.
You.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Moving on to audience participation. Anybody from the audience has any thing you want to talk about, please come up to the gate, state your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm Bethany Williams. I'm just here. We finally made the agenda. Since March, we've been asking for a street light. I'm really not sure why it got tabled because Paul had all the information for everybody readily accessible. I've also reached out. I think I've emailed everybody and talked to most of you now. There's been a couple questions about still like the plumbing situation. We really would like some clarity on how deep the manhole is that we tapped into because I still have not received a response. I've emailed everyone on council. And I would also like to state, we are now open and doing very well. We have over 20 residents employed at Creekside as well. We're gonna have some nice taxes coming in for the city. It's really concerning me since March that we can't even get a street light that will cost us personally $234. I am unsure why this is even a question, why it's tabled and wasn't just approved right away. But I think the even bigger concern is that the elected official of our city has not returned emails, phone calls, text messages for months now to a business in town when he ran on, I can't wait to bring new business to town. So you finally have one ready to be a part of this community and have been a part of this community for, I've lived here my whole entire life. I've owned a business here for over 20 years. This is my third business I've owned in Lebanon now. I can't even get a response from the mayor. The reason why we are actually on the agenda tonight is I had to reach out to the previous mayor to start making phone calls to get us on the agenda tonight. And I think that's really concerning and should be concerning for everybody in Lebanon. It's gone way far at this point. I should not have to be up here every meeting for a free street light. While you weren't here yet and I think everybody else was. In March, the chief of police sent everybody an email saying how dangerous it is turning in and out of Creekside without a street light there. So here we are at August. We've been asking for one. It's literally going to cost the city nothing. It cost us $234 to put a street light down there, which the check's been ready since March to pay and ready to go. We are open now. Is it not concerning that, does the leader of our city show no concern for accidents coming in and out of Creekside? It's a busy intersection anyways, like that is so dangerous to not have a light down there. And I think everybody here should be concerned. And then what happens? Everybody here was notified in March that we needed a street light. We still haven't gotten one. So what does happen when there's an accident? Is that our problem or is that your problem? Since the chief of police informed city council and the mayor, who was also on city council at the time in March, that this was a problem. So I hope it doesn't become a problem. I hope to goodness that nobody does get an accident there, which is why I hope the street light gets pushed through tonight. But we've also asked for some clarity on this manhole situation. We were told the manhole was only 4 foot deep. I don't really feel like going through FOIA and bothering Paul. I know he's busy and got a lot of stuff going on. We would like some clarity on how deep the manhole is outside of Creekside that we're tapped into. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, this is.
Go ahead, come on up here. Sharon, state your name and I start the clock for you.
Sharon Guile, just wanted to, couple of things quick. Thank, Charlie Woody for bringing the, SHPO staffer down and just, in terms of, residents of historic buildings being eligible for property freezes and property tax freezes and business owners being eligible for tax abatements and that sort of thing. Things like windows and such, as I have mentioned previously in comments, windows and doors are major SHPO points, which are not even considered at all within the planning commission stuff where they have a big deal on signs that generally aren't even viewed because they're temporary sorts of things by the SHPO. So it's just goes to getting the ordinances updated, the city ordinances with regard to historic district to ensure that it's differentiated, the historic shopping district, this small little area here versus the historic district, which is a huge area and is what the state and federal laws apply to. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Terry Wild, 53400 Street. This, the construction site at Summerfield and Hunter Street, and also where the lift station project was done in the staging area, and even all the way up to McHenry's dorm, sets a bad example, for example, for Lebanon. We have college students coming back this month, and you're gonna have parents here. They shouldn't have to put up with this unsightly mess, the weeds, the dirt, mud. College students walk this daily to go to classes. You could have a problem on your hands.
You. Anybody else? Okay, alderperson comments. Go ahead.
Are we allowed to sell plots yet?
Not until we get that certified, as far as I know, and he's, RJ's not here tonight,
Not yet.
not yet?
Nope.
Okay,
We're close.
until that inventory gets completed, we can't sell any new plots.
How much money is that gonna be?
I don't know, because after we get it finished, the state has to look at it. And, you know how that is, I really have no clue, I don't know if anybody else here has a clue. Charlie, you got a clue? Where do you leave it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, here I am. No, it's, well, saying it's in progress, but I'm gonna have to put someone's working on it, volunteering their time, and I'm gonna have to bring it back in-house so that it gets done by the new people that are here, because it's been out there for like 3 months now, and it's still not complete.
Okay. I think the city really needs to have that done.
I may point out the holding up process is every time we go back, there's a permit that they require. It's just a piece of paper, and the only person that can certify that is the funeral home. So every time we do one plot, we have to contact, not Myers, Meredith, or another funeral home agency. Unfortunately, they also have other business to tend to, so they can only do so many at a time, and then they have to go back to what they're doing. And it's a pretty lengthy process to get one done, so we made a pretty decent headway. We started from 2012. And have worked up to the current date to date. With that being said, it does take a little bit. If you go back and look, I don't know the numbers, but I would imagine from 2012 to current, there was a lot of burials. So they're working on it. Paul and everyone's doing the best they can with the time they can, but we do have to wait for the funeral home to come out and make that permit so that we can satisfy the state of Illinois requirements.
When was the last time you funeral?
Every week, and they would say, we're busy next week. And then someone else passes away, then they say, we're busy, how about next week? And then that just kind of sets the pace. I'm sorry, a lot of funeral homes don't want to be part of it. So Meredith is graciously doing it for us, but they have a minimum staff or as well, so I will get with Paul and see if he can contact you tomorrow.
What about the tattoo shop? Is it still coming?
I haven't heard that it isn't.
What was the last on that? Do we know did they get that grant or do you know if they got that, Charlie, at all?
Excuse me, I'll have Stephanie come out.
Oh, okay.
In the meantime, when the cemetery inventory is finished, there's good news. The good news is that as long as we record everything properly as burials occur, we won't have to do that again.
They close next week
Oh,
on the
okay.
building.
Awesome.
Okay.
What they close with Chevy or?
Well, they closed whoever they're,
Yeah,
the Chevy, yeah.
they're coming in one or something. Like I say, they're the poster child for the way things are supposed to be done.
Slow, unfortunately, but that's the way it is in other cities. We're no different. Other cities have the same issues.
Okay, I've been, asking about the weeds down there on Fourth and Cherry Street. And I found out today that nobody ever relayed my request to Blake. So I contacted Blake today, and he's gonna send out a letter tomorrow. This has been going on since April. And the weeds are so high that you can't even see a car on the opposite street. Now, everybody is always talking about raises, but it doesn't seem like anybody wants to do their job. And it's ridiculous, the height of those weeds down there. And I know that's not our problem, it's whoever owns the land. But if they're not gonna tend to it, the city has to step in at some point and do something. And the city's not, it seems like they're not willing to do anything either.
Yes, you're right.
But the letter will go out tomorrow, Blake.
That starts the process. There is a process.
Well, the process was supposed to start in April, Joe.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying. I'm gonna make a suggestion to every older person that if it's an issue in your ward, you know the staff, and you can go to staff and say, this is an issue to report it. And bring it up in the meeting so that it's on record in the meeting.
And they can also go to the GoGov thing.
Yeah, GoGov, yeah, tell Foreman GoGov. Because I'm noticing, and it's not being, it is used by some, but not enough. The GoGov form, that little form we have on our website, that you subscribe, you get it. When you fill that out, and you put that you want to be informed about it on, there's a checkbox. And you will be informed of how it's being processed. You'll know if it was assigned to somebody. You'll know if that person has been done anything. That's supposed to be doing. We're paying for that. We need to use it. We need to get the community to use it too. Does
Okay,
that go, God?
we're also paying for the cops too, but all these junk cars, they're not writing tickets.
Well, that's why I'm saying the GoGov, it would go, if you indicate that it's gonna, who's gonna go to it, you want it to go to the police department. The chief gets that, and the mayor gets it. And I've asked as an older person to get those for my ward, anything in my ward, I'm supposed to get. So I haven't yet, but that's all automatic. I get emails generated automatically by GoGov, and I have to figure out who they're from, when there's somebody writing something up on there. So use it. That's my recommendation to the community out there on the owl. Use the GoGov form. That gives us a written record to trace it.
I think the problem is though, on what Ms. Linda's talking about is. We got a process. I understand Blake issues a citation, but when does it become the point where Blake then writes a ticket? Can he write the ticket, or is that the police guys gotta write the ticket? Are we waiting until Jurassic Park 19 audition to write a ticket? How long are we gonna wait? I mean, Mission Impossible 20? What's the final? I hate to say it, what's the final straw? I understand Blake issues a piece of paper, which means absolutely nothing to some people and the citizens, but I understand Blake can't issue a ticket. Is it the police then that issues a
Yes.
ticket?
He asks them and they do issue them when he requests it. But you have to look at the ordinance. The ordinance outlines the steps that have to be taken. That's all as the ordinance chair, that's all I can say. We write the ordinances to benefit the residents, but also to protect them and the city. And it's in the ordinance. So look at the ordinance that gives you the steps. There's an ordinance on weeds and height of grass. It's a nuisance. Under the nuisance ordinance.
Am I remembering right? At some point, the city mows it and charges people?
That's right. At some point, when we get to that point, and that point, by the way, could take 3 months.
That's a problem.
By the time we get to that point, the city can do it and they charge the homeowner via their taxes what it is, so if they don't pay, it goes on their tax bill.
Cody, when's the last time you had to go mow someone's lawn in this situation right here?
Thursday,
Did we charge them?
yeah. 7 lots out on. Here,
Cool.
so it is actively happening.
And I think it's, I forget the
Up,
amount.
it starts at 500 and can go up from there. And I don't enjoy mowing extra grass, because we have plenty. So that does include right away.
That big old thing you're sitting in. That's what, and that's what it's for.
It's for mowing ditch lines. Our right of way is like out by State Route 4. The ditch lines in front of the houses. A right of way is for us to cross over the property. It gives us the right to be in that section. We do not physically own that. So when you don't mow it, we can still ticket you and still mow that section.
I'm one of the responsible on the right of way. This gives us the right of way to go over there or to dig down, do something like that.
Some yards, the issue that we run into is the letter has to be written before we go on personal property, then it becomes a legal issue.
I
Because once we give
understand.
the advance warning, and then it should go from Blake over to chief, and they say X amount of days, I don't know the days. And then the citation should be written after that, and then it goes over to the courthouse, Luke takes care of it, and it's on certain days, so. It is a slow moving process, for sure.
And that's all based upon state statutes. We can't speed it up ourselves. Anybody else before I jump in on one small item? I overheard from the presentation that was at 5 o'clock from SHPO that we can have our own historic preservation ordinance. If that is something that there's an interest in doing, I can do some research and ask the attorney to write an ordinance on historic preservation. So I have a second time to talk about it, but I thought I'd bring it up here, because that's what we're talking about, is things from the meetings. Anybody else have something? Okay. Moving on, the agenda. Next item is cemetery committee. Probing fee, do you know anything about that, Charlie?
Not really, it's something, Paul, you got something, Cody?
Yes, there has been a increase in people asking for probing of graves. I don't wanna make light of the situation. If you have a grave and someone is going to be buried, the probing fee is a part of what we're already charging. This new fee would be on the fact of, we've had over 13 requests, I'm not for sure what for, but it just seems to be, they're curious of the size of an urn. A couple things is that we don't physically take pictures before we bury them. So we don't know the sizes before they go in, because before the permit of Illinois is getting caught back up, we didn't put the size in there originally. So we're spending hours probing around. Maybe it's a rock, maybe it's what we're looking for, thinking, trying to figure out what this box is, what size it is, and it's just for information only. So what we're trying to eliminate is if you really want to know the size of the urn that someone was buried in, there's gonna be a cost to it, because 2 guys standing there for an hour, that's $55 the city has spent probing for a box just to know if it's 13 by 14, 20 by 25. So it's kind of to help offset the cost of administration too, because Paul has to go in, pull the card. We have to locate it and then go from that point. So this is going to also go towards the sign poles and the signs to help reduce costs.
Yeah, I guess it's a fee. The city council will have to approve the fee if it comes up at the council meeting next week. We'll have to do it by motion rather than recommendation. So I have no clue what the fees are.
I think we said it was a $50 flat rate.
Yeah. Okay. So. Nothing else from cemetery. Let's move on to ordinance. I don't have anything except potential of doing a historic preservation ordinance for the city of Lebanon. It will help those individuals and businesses that are in historic structures or in a historic district to be able to apply for funding. And it would give us the ability, if we have funding in those areas, to spend the money for them. To help them. We are doing that with the grants right now that we have. We spent $10,000. Who was that for? That was for the tattoo parlor.
So what would this make them eligible for that they can't apply for now?
Well, they can apply for them. The SHPO grants are historic preservation grants and funds and incentives, tax incentives that individuals and businesses can apply for now through the state. But we could have our own local one in addition to the state. It doesn't come, but we could do some things here. Make it another incentive to improve properties in the historic district, which exceeds this street. That's a big district. And I overheard in the discussion that a house built in 1975 could now be considered a historic structure. So my house could be a historic, but we have, I think we need to perhaps revisit the boundaries of the historic district in case they've expanded a little bit.
No, it's the same as it is now, George. It can be done, but it takes some special consultant or something to do that one.
Yeah, probably more can help us out with that.
Yeah.
All right, I have nothing else. Public property, not here. Streets and alleys.
All right, so Pat had gave me some couple options regarding the Creekside, the street light. But before I got here today earlier, I was informed that Mr. Cody was on the phone with IDOT for a couple hours this afternoon. He's got the latest and the greatest when it comes to the facts of what's going on. So instead of me running my mouth and giving you false information, I'd rather Cody give you right information. So with that being said.
Good evening, I guess, at this point, one of those days. So I did contact IDOT just to make sure we're going through the right channels, the right processes. The summary of this that breaks down is that is city limits, but we do not have any right of way in that immediate section that we're looking at. The light prices are correct, is what she's talking on the light price. I don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing it earlier, $234.
Put it on Mark Brower's.
Okay, so with it being put on an existing pole owned by Martin Brower, we can't tell Martin Brower what to do. Martin Brower can't tell us what to do, and especially we can't tell IDOT what's gonna happen up there. So when I talked to the Illinois Department of Transportation, the two recommendations I came across was Creekside reach out to Ameren. If it's on your personal property, you do what you want, the light can go up, the city can't say anything about it. Then you don't have to worry about coming up here and dealing with any headaches. Or you can also go and send a permit through whoever you use to IDOT to have them put a light out there.
He already said he doesn't need one, I have to email
From Paul.
No, from Robert Cretton to.
I talked to Robert Gretton today. He was not aware that was, because 800 McAllister shows up as a city street number, but it is actually still US Highway 50, which makes it state property, which makes it none of our jurisdiction. So it goes by jurisdiction, I promise you.
So we're good to go ahead and
So
put
you
the light
can-
on Mount.
You can save yourself the stress. You just contact either IDOT or you contact Ameren, and they should be able to take care of you. The only thing the city can offer is a letter of recommendation, like the chief's already said, saying that we support a light out. That is all you can get from the city.
That's on the mayor. The mayor and the chief.
So I apologize that Paul told you he did.
Can I get a letter from the streets and alleys councilman?
Sure, I got it.
Yep, we'll have
We'll get
something
something.
that says that, and then we will make sure that too, right? So I want to clarify, make sure sometime, Paul's got a lot going on, but I do want to reiterate that. He did not check on the other right of way stuff, so we have to go through a process.
But at least Paul checks into it and is responsive when called. So
I agree, but then
he did a lot of
gave you false
investigation.
promises of a light that we couldn't give you in the first place. So you're not to be rude, but you're mad for nothing.
Well, then you take our taxes, but can't give us anything.
We
We're
don't
in
have,
city limits, but not in city limits.
you're in city limits, but we don't have any jurisdiction over IDOT highways. It would be no different than if Saljay wanted to put a light over 255, couldn't happen. It has to just be an IDOT.
That's why we don't know why we had to come here in the first place.
Again, I'm sorry that Paul told you to come to the city, but that was false information.
Months we've been doing this.
But that's,
Until today, we didn't learn this, so you can see my aggravation.
I understand, but I told Paul to wait and then he emailed you anyways, that's what happened. There's
But did
your,
anybody else do any other investigations until today? After tabling this for more information, did anyone actually go out for more information?
I had him table it, and I said, please let me do my investigation on it. IDOT does not answer emails very fast, and I promise you, I've been working through, I went through 4 different IDOT people to get to the right people. And that's why it takes a little bit, because I am thorough about my investigation, because I do not want to misrepresent any information. Again, I'm sorry the clerk jumped the gun, but I hope this information helps you. And hope you get your life. So I have about the
Thank
light
you.
bulb.
As a reminder to everybody, Madison Street, Route 4, going through the city, the state highway, the right of ways extend out, and that's all IDOT's responsibility. So along the highway. So if a local business wanted to do something, they would have to go through IDOT too, if it impacts the right of way.
The only way that we would have to have a letter from us is if it is in a local road in our district. So prime example would be easiest way to break it down. If we're not getting $1 per mile or whatever it would be for motor fuel, if we're not receiving motor fuel money for that road, we have no say over what happens. Anything that's motor fuel, so these are like, this is local roads and that's state roads, right? So they're divvied up between local, county and
So
state.
how do you annex like a business like that into the county? Does anyone know how to do that?
Okay,
So you can start receiving like support from somewhere in
So
your
you-
no man's land?
If we give you, I'll give you an example. If we annex you and that road was Lebanon Township,
Right,
then we get the road. If we annexed you and it was St. Clair County Road District, we have to annex the rest of the road with
right,
it. But you can annex outside and not get the road. Prime example is Belleville Street.
right?
It's a county road. But as soon as you annex a business on a township road, it automatically becomes yours.
Right.
Don't ask me why it's written that way. Illinois has been operating that way since, well, whenever they put it in the business, so. I know it stinks, but that's why I wanted to go through the proper channels. Sorry that you're upset. I'm apologizing for our
No,
streets
it's just
department that I
frustrating.
didn't
It
get
takes
back to
like
you.
6 months to get an answer about anything around here.
I did want to do my homework and make sure I wasn't giving you wrong information.
It's like
okay, thank you.
all over again.
Moving on. Unfinished business at their last committee meeting, I brought up the issue of finding funding sources. Because we get complaints a lot about issues, particularly the Kennedy Park issue with the flooding that occurs there. And other places in town. There are mechanisms that allow for local, very local, down to community, basically getting together and saying, we want this and we're willing to pay for it. We can't pay for it individually, but we're willing to pay for it, and it would be paid for it through taxes. And that's the special area tax. It can be established as long as definitive boundaries can be identified, property lines can be identified. That group can say, we want this improvement in our neighborhood. And we essentially have to decide whether we're gonna grant that improvement. And once it occurs, there's a whole process that takes months to go through, as usual. And once that occurs, then the city can do a special, they can levy it, they can just do the referendum and levy the tax without a vote. And it cannot be, there cannot even be a backdoor referendum if you do that. So the person can't say, I don't want this, and get 10% of the registered voters to sign a petition, and there could be a vote on any referendum, but that one is exempt from backdoor referendums. From what I've read, and I've studied this for a couple of years, that's the gist of it. So any discussion, if does anybody else have any ideas how we can fund some of the things that we need to do in the city? The other option is, of course, to put it in a regular budgeting process. And when we prioritize that, unfortunately, we're a reactive budget rather than a proactive budget. If we get to a point that we're proactive in budgeting, we can budget ahead, we can do some things.
So the special area tax. All the people in that, those boundaries, whatever the boundaries might be in, everybody in there have to agree on it, or vote on it, or how?
Non-majority. And once it's established, everybody in there is included in it. That's why it's best to have everybody buy into it. Rather, if you get one disgruntled person, they're gonna complain about that tax. The tax is only for 20 years. If they happen to sell the house, if they happen to sell the house, well, we have some taxes that are been around for 50 or more, 100 years. But if a landowner sells the property, that goes with the property. They're not responsible for anything because they're no longer a resident or a landowner there.
But the only people voting whether to start one of these are the people in that district.
Right, the whole city is not involved. Because if we do a citywide referendum and we're saying we need $300,000 to do that project. The city's gonna say, why should I be paying taxes for a project that improves only 10, 15, 20 properties? And most of the members of the city that vote on it are gonna vote against it. And don't forget, we usually only have about 600 people vote in city elections out of 2,700 registered voters. So 600 people are making all the decisions.
You're going to say something?
Yeah.
I personally would like to state that, like, yes, we have had a reactive budget. We will not have a reactive budget anymore. Like, I will not sit in the seat as treasurer and continue to operate on a reactive budget. So that's going to be fixed. In my personal opinion, as the treasurer, this needs to be a last resort. Right now, we're trying to get families to move into town. And if we do something and then we vote 2/3 or take the majority or whatever you want to say, the people that didn't vote for it, they're gone. And even the people who did vote for it are probably gonna leave once they see that their taxes increased by so much. So I appreciate that it is kind of looking towards a solution, but it is not the residents' fault that we have mismanaged money and done a reactive. We need to like exercise grants and exercise everything we possibly can and be able to say to them like, but I'm sorry, but this is our last resort because like this is, it eats me alive because we haven't been doing what we need to do for years. And I do feel like this administration is trying to turn that. And that's what we keep saying is we're making the turn and we're gonna do better. This, I feel like would be kind of putting us back on saying that it's the residents' fault and it's not necessarily.
No, it is definitely not the residents' fault. It was poor management by the city. Absolutely. Yes, I do feel very strongly. So I'm very vocal.
I just feel like we have a lot of things that we can exercise and research and everything. There's so many things out there that we're just not educated on as a city that if we continue investing in finding those options, even like the historical preservation today, just to share that up front. I hope my husband's not listening. We found out today that we would have been eligible for all kinds of incentives on a building that he did a few years ago. That all those would have been available, but we just didn't know. And as a city, we didn't know to educate our residents that it was a possibility. So we need to make sure we're doing everything we can before we go trying to tax. Let's make sure that we can't utilize some of these grants and do something else. That's just my professional opinion.
Yeah, thank you. And by the way, the floor is not open for discussion. It's only.
Yeah.
Sorry, but we have to have some control. The ability to control. Okay, if there's no other discussion, is there any other discussion on the funding? This is gonna be an ongoing thing coming back because I get very upset about the fact we come up with a problem or an issue. And it's really exciting. We talk about it big time for 1 meeting, 2 meetings, and then it goes away. And nothing happened. The issue itself doesn't go away, but the discussion and solution finding doesn't really goes away. So we need to continue to look at what is it we need to do, looking at our budget. What is it in our budget that we're spending this year that we're not going to spend next year? Or we're spending it this year and it isn't going to be necessary to spend it next year. What will we do with those funds? So we can begin doing the proactive budgeting, looking ahead. If we had zero-based budgeting, it'd be a different story altogether. Every year we start from scratch. And I don't recommend that. Too many issues. Is there anything else on that item, on unfinished business? Is there any other unfinished business? Any new business?
Georgia, I have something to add. For the residents that are here, I also want to put a little information into your pocket. I know council hasn't heard about this yet. We are working on solutions and working around in the area to come up with grant base, to come up with other options. I've been here myself for a little under 5 years, and it's truly amazing some of the stuff that has changed over the time. And what I've noticed since when I've started to current is that we still operated off of what was told in the 90s or what was told in the early 2000s. And there's a lot of great programs out there. We just had to get to that point. One of the things we had to get to is some of our policies are behind. So to get grants, you had to have a certain policy. Well, we didn't have a certain policy, so we're fixing that. Now what we're getting into is, and I hear is, we're applying for grants, which we're doing a lot of active grant applying. But normally what happens is the grants, the companies that'll look at it and say, okay, the city of Lebanon hasn't applied for a grant in 25 years, which is probably almost true, going back in 10 years ago. You might apply 4 or 5 times, which is annual, before they actually even consider you, and it's off a point system, it's based off of infrastructure, it's based off of all of these things. So we are working towards the common goal. I know the frustrations here because it's been 20+ years. Give a little due process for the ladies and gentlemen that are up here tonight. We are working on solutions. It unfortunately went for so long that it can't turn around in a short time span. I mean, a lot of the people here, and it's crazy to say, I've been here for a short 5 years, and some of these people have been here less than me. So we're a new council, new faces. We are working on getting a better budget and a better system together. It just takes a little time. George, to answer your question, we can't have meetings over a 7-day period and then come back with unfinished business on it. So last ditch effort from my department is taxing people. I don't want any more taxes for myself either, right? So bear with us. There are some meetings coming up with counties, with the state, with FEMA and all the floodplain stuff to get something moving. So thank you for your patience.
And there are a lot of sources for funding available out there. And it just takes some research and some writing. And our staff is also stretched when it comes to writing grants. We almost need to have a dedicated grant writer who knows how to pull the language together. There is a skill to writing grants. It took me 4 tries to get a $900,000 grant that we ended up not spending and giving back. So.
That was Gateway East Trails, correct? That wasn't the city.
That was Gateway East Trails.
Yeah, that was not the city. We did not give $900,000 back to the city.
I know.
Understand that.
The city had it, we would have spent it, and all the city had to do was agree to be the sponsor, and we would have gone ahead with the project. No commitment funding. So,
I moved to it.
if there's no further business, then we are adjourned.